Every day I question why and how could anyone ever put their hands on someone as innocent as a 2-year-old at the time of the events? How could someone be so spiteful of an innocent little being that's just learning the ways of life and what they can and cannot do? A 2-year-old isn't going to be able to defend themselves from a grown adult. A 2-year-old isn't going to know how to try and find a phone to dial 911. A 2-year-old isn't going to understand why someone's putting their hands on them in an aggressive way and decipher if it's right or wrong. I question every day what would have happened differently had Leon Landry, Bentley's biological father, called the cops that day instead of just bringing my son to me, as I'm completely clueless as to who Matthew Wolf and Diamond Swinehart are. Matthew's impacted me by making me uneasy about even sending my son to a daycare or even school in that matter, knowing and seeing what happened to my son, because I have little to no trust in people anymore. This case lasting 1.5 years, and me endlessly having to be the only one to advocate for my son and hoping to get the justice he so deserves. To me, this isn't a justice system. My son isn't getting any justice in the matter when Matthew Wolf has been deliberately continuing to violate bonds the whole case, as he has only had to sit one time for a bond violation for only 84 days and had just got given a plea deal of 12 months probation. I personally think it's a whole load of crap that he's getting less than what I've been fighting for this whole case. Sorry, Your Honor.
All right, guys, today we are diving into a heartbreaking courtroom moment where a mother described the emotional nightmare of learning that a 2-year-old son was allegedly abused. From the very first second, you can hear the pain, anger, and frustration in her voice as she questions how any grown adult could hurt a child too young to even understand what were happening. What makes this even more intense is her reaction to the plea deal, because while she fought for justice for over 1 year, she believes the system completely failed her son.
I've been impacted financially as it's been a whole lot, or I've been impacted financially as I've been having to drive back and forth from the police station and all the court dates we've had, and with the fact of not trusting anyone, having only a select few people I do trust. So I'm not able to work as much as I'd like to be able to financially support me and my son. I also feel as though my son and I have been impacted by the Sheboygan Police Department and their failure to get my son and I a police officer on the case who was going to be able to successfully and thoroughly do their part for the case in the beginning, but instead gave us a police officer who was going to be transferring from Sheboygan to a different police station, who had seemed to be in a rush and completely get everything mixed up. I then had to advocate to get another police officer on the case, as they hadn't originally found another police officer to take the case. 5 months. It took about 5 months to even get a warrant to have Matthew and Diamond arrested to get anything in motion from when I had filed the complaint. I question every day why it is that Sheboygan County was failing my son and I when they're supposed to be the justice system and there to serve for their people. I question every day how it is that Diamond could sit there and tolerate her fiance husband doing something so heinous to someone so innocent. I question how it is that Diamond, by what I was told to be the one who was supposed to be watching my son, could also be let free of any consequences based on her fiance husband's actions and not doing anything about it, not attempting to call 911, or even Leon Landry, Bentley's biological father, the one who had set up babysitting. My son and I are also impacted by Leon Landry and his actions in the case, as he hasn't been a big help in it at all from the beginning, because he didn't do what any father would / should do in a situation like this that Matthew had put my son through, and called 911 the night of November 23rd, 2022. My son's impacted by him because since this day this has happened, he has made no efforts into trying to be a part of Bentley's life. He's made no efforts into helping give information regarding Matthew to try and help his son get the justice he deserves.
Buckle up, guys, because this next part shifts from emotional testimony to pure outrage against everyone involved in the case. The mother now turns her attention toward the police investigation, the babysitter, and even the child's biological father, accusing them of failing her son when he needed protection the most. As she explains the delays, confusion, and lack of urgency from authorities, the courtroom tension keeps building. By the end of this segment, it feels less like a single mistake and more like a chain of failures surrounding one innocent child.
He hasn't even given Bentley an apology for the situation he put him through, and not even attempting to help his situation. With that said, Leon's impacted me because he's given me all the weight in the situation from the beginning and has left me hanging clueless about anything pertaining to the situation. Thank you.
Ms. Goodrich, recommendations from the people?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. The defendant is 39 years old. He has 9 prior felonies and 3 prior misdemeanors. I believe that the court has been more than patient with him on the drug line issues dating back to April 2023. Initially in district court, he was given a fine for a dilute test, and then in July of 2023, he had a positive drug screen. He did serve some jail time. There was another violation September 28th of 2023 for missing drug screens. Then we're actually here on a sentencing from a violation of March 4th of 2024, where he was failing to call the bond line in early March. The court gave him a stern warning that he had to figure this out, he had to comply, and that he would not be incarcerated for a second time and given a chance. The prosecutor's office during that time also gave him a chance by doing a delay plea agreement that was against the victim's wishes, as she's explained why. And then here we are today between plea and sentencing with two more violations for missed calls, missed tests, without really any new explanation from that. He was warned by the court in March of 2024. I would ask the court to take that into consideration at the sentencing. Thank you.
All right, guys. Now the courtroom atmosphere changes completely as a prosecutor steps in and starts exposing the defendant's repeated violations. What makes this section so important is that the court had already given this man multiple opportunities to straighten himself out, yet the violations just kept piling up. Failed drug tests, missed check-ins, ignored warnings. Every detail makes the situation look worse and worse. You can almost feel the judge losing patience as the prosecutor lays out a history that suggests the defendant never took the court seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. If you please stand for the court sentence. Mr. Wolf, you stand here today convicted of a felony crime of child abuse for injuring a very young child with bruises on the child's head and back. You have 9 prior felonies, which is a terrible record. And your guideline range is a straddle cell, 5 months on the low end, 23 months on the high end. The plea agreement is for a delay of sentence. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to place you on a delay of sentence for 2 reasons. One, your extensive felony record and your abuse of a young child, and also then your complete failure to comply with my orders on bond. I have no reason to believe that you would comply with probation orders. Over and over again, you seem like you can just come to court and tell us why you're not obeying court orders and that should be okay. I'm not sure why you think that. Maybe that we've been too lenient with you. And I revoked your bond at one time, but then gave you more chances. I thought that maybe revoking the bond and having you sit for 85 days would have mattered. It doesn't seem to have gotten your attention. In any event, your post-plea contemptuous conduct has negated your ability to withdraw the plea for me not following the plea agreement. And I have no confidence that you would succeed on probation. So, honestly, somebody with your record that hurts a child, I'm really thinking about whether to send you to prison. I'm not going to do that today, but you are going to do a year in the county jail forthwith. You get credit for 88 days previously served. $68 state cost, 130 crime victims assessment, $350 court cost, $60 DNA fee, and on the contempt it's 93 days credit for 0. Those will be concurrent.
Buckle up, guys, because this is a moment where the judge finally delivers his decision, and the courtroom instantly becomes tense. Instead of following the original plea agreement, the judge openly says he no longer trusts the defendant after repeated violations and years of criminal behavior. The way he talks about the abuse of a very young child makes it clear this case hit differently for the court. Then comes the biggest moment of all when the judge admits he seriously considered prison before ultimately sentencing him to a year in county jail. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.